think a lot of renovators who are doing it for the first time, they almost want to be like, this is my shiny new product and I want to be proud and I want to show it to people. I remember when I first did my renovation, it was all about, show and tell as to, oh, look at this, this is what it used to look like and this is what it's looking like, which is okay. But I think, the money mindset is a lot more important. I think, when you come down to, making sure that the bottom line does not get hurt while you're trying to be emotional, I think that's what's the key thing is. You're listening to Help Me Buy Property podcast powered by Investor Partner Group. We help improve lifestyles by building scalable and sustainable generational wealth and passive income streams. We do this via our ecosystem that is a one-stop shop to all property investment needs, from evidence-based, data-driven buyers agency, industry-renowned portfolio reviews and property strategies, property development with and for clients, tax, SMSF, business structures advisory, and cash flow real estate. Everything we do is to help people achieve financial independence and not just basic financial freedom by using property as a tool and as a medium. Presently, we've launched Australian Property Academy, where we are training and teaching buyers agents, property advisors, property strategic partners, and secrets to finding investor-grade properties to astute investors. Connect now to experience it yourself or drop in a line below at info@helpmebuy.com.au to get more information. Be kind and happy investing. This is part 2 of our enlightening discussion with Graham Whitfield discussing all the renovation strategies. We will dive deeper into maximizing your investment and navigating the challenges in the renovation process. If you're struggling to stick to your budget, wondering how to choose the right materials without overspending or identifying the right finishes or knowing where to source the materials, stay tuned till the very end because you're going to take a really deep dive into some of these key strategies. We'll also discuss the importance of understanding buyers' expectations, how to manage your budget, and essential insurance coverage and how do you protect yourself while the house is tenant free. Stay tuned till the very end and let's get started. The 6th one is an interesting one. So this is more in relation to, how do you not overdo when you're doing renovation? So, the type of the materials to pick up, how do people get better in picking up the material selection? How do you go around doing that?
Yeah. I mean, this is a funny one. I think it comes back to knowing your market. And I talk to, I say a lot in my Facebook group and to my students about being an area expert and knowing your market. So an area expert, they know who the buyer is. They know what the buyer expects. So for example, if it's a cheaper end area, like a, first home buyer type area, an investor type area, well, you don't need to do floor to ceiling tiling in the wet areas. When it comes to your tapware and stuff like that, you don't need to spend on high quality stuff. Like it just needs to look neat and new. Like if it's new, it's going to look better than most of the other homes in the suburb anyway. So it's important just to know that with your spec, how far to go. And for example, in the laundry, do you need to put in cabinets in the laundry or do you just need to put in a laundry trough? And at the start, most buyers will make the mistake of spending too much. And funnily enough, we had a coaching session the other night. I had a student who just did amazing deal. Yeah. Made 120,000, but in their learnings, they were like, we know that we went overboard on the project. So they still made an awesome profit, 120K on the deal. But they knew, like they said, oh, look, we know Graham always says to scale it, back. But, they're actually, they've got a staging company, interior design, and they wanted to use it for photos and for marketing, that sort of thing. So, but a lot of people at the start for their first deal and so on, they will overspend and they just don't get the money back on that. So you need to know, where do I need to spend money on? But the only way you're going to know that is by going to home open, speaking to agents, jumping on RP data, looking at comparable sales. And then after a while, the more you do, obviously you become an area expert and you know where you need to spend money and where you and where you can save. And again, it's going to come back to who the buyer is. So if it's an investor market, like I've been flipping a lot in investor markets in Perth, and I know that the price that they're willing to pay, it's all to do with what their rental yield that they're going to get. Where an owner-occupier is going to be a lot more emotional, and maybe they'll pay for those extras. But you've got to know, who's going to buy it. Is it going to be an owner-occupier? Is it going to be an investor? That these are the things that you'll only know if you're an expert.
Yeah. Very interesting comment that you make. So it's almost like you're saying that in an investor market, you're almost working backwards from the yield that you want to deliver for this particular property. And so you're basically working for, okay, this property is going to rent for X. And so this is the price point that I can sell it for maximum, sort of, and then work backwards from there.
Not yes. I'm saying what I'm saying more is that it's the investors do that. So the buyers, so they know what they're going to be able to rent the property for, and they're going to get have property managers say this is what rents are going for in there. So they will determine their buy price on that. So what I mean is if I go and put gold taps in it and water, ceiling, tiling, they're not going to pay extra for that because it's not going to give them more rental income. Or that's where I got to be like, okay, well, I'm going to save. I'm going to make the house look new. I'm going to put a new kitchen in. I'm going to put a new bathroom in, but it's going to be budget and entry level. It's not going to be high spec because I know that the investor is not going to pay more for the higher spec than what they are for the entry level.
And I think a lot of renovators who are doing it for the first time, they almost want to be like, this is my shiny new product and I want to be proud and I want to show it to people. And I remember when I first did my renovation, it was all about show and tell as to, oh, look at this is what it used to look like and this is what it's looking like, which is okay. But I think the money mindset is a lot more important. I think, when you come down to making sure that the bottom line does not get hurt while you're trying to be emotion. I think that's what's the key thing is. Do you end up buying all the stuff yourself?
Sure.
Like, do you go around, Bunnings and, picking up stuff yourself, or do you outsource some of this stuff to, your contractors?
So basically, I've just got trade accounts at wherever I buy from, and then I just flick them an email. So this is what I need.
Perfect.
So
and just get it delivered to the site.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes my handyman will pick it up and he'll take it to the site, or sometimes, like for example, if it's like flooring, when my handyman lays all my hybrid flooring there, so he'll pick it up.
Yeah.
My plumbing gear, they'll deliver it to site. So it just depends. But most of the companies that I've got, I've been obviously, using them for a while now, and it's just as easy as either an email or a phone call and saying, hey, this is what I need. This is how many square meters it is. And that's an important tip as well. I think a lot of people make that mistake, right? They depend on the contractors to source some of this material, right? And you would be paying some sort of margins before you even realize that a thing that should have costed you like $30,000, $40,000 is now costing you 60 because there is a margin that you've paid on the materials that they have procured instead of you could have done it yourself. 100%. Yeah. I mean, typically speaking, tradies will put out at least 20% if they're buying the materials.
Yeah.
So, so you're, let's say, for example, you're buying lighting or plumbing supplies, that's an extra 20% that you don't need to spend. And it's really not that difficult. Like once you, like I said, let's say, for example, you go to a TradeLink or a Reese Plumbing or something like that, which I think they're both Australia-wide.
Yeah.
You go to those companies, you can just look at what their standard spec is, what their essentially their home brand spec is.
Yeah.
I think like TradeLink, for example, their entry-level spec is called their Essentials range. So if you're flipping in those sort of, like I said, those more entry-level areas, that's going to be suffice, is that spec.
Yeah.
So you just go back to them and say, hey, look, tell them this is what I need, and then I just want the Essentials range. It's pretty easy.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. The next one in line is about maximizing home value. And this is a good segue into home renovations, because when you talk about value for money, what are the key areas that you would always focus on, when you're basically giving that vow to people who are walking in, whether it be investors or owner-occupiers? Are there certain areas that you would focus more than others?
As far as for the home itself, well, I mean, what needs doing is painting. Like, I think painting you need to paint almost everything.
Yeah.
Because it makes big difference. And so on the inside, everything needs painting. On the external, the front facade, or paint can make anything that looks old almost look new, sort of thing. So I think, you need to spend good money on a painter. When you can get your handyman to paint and stuff like that, but it's sometimes paying that extra money for a painter to give a, tradesman finish.
Yeah.
Can make a big difference. But I mean, look, the two big areas of the home which are expensive to renovate is the kitchen and the bathroom. I mean, everything else is just four walls and a floor, right? So bedrooms, there's nothing to do except paint in there, put down the flooring, either carpet or a hybrid floor, and then put in a new oyster light or something like that in the rooms. So it's only really the kitchens and the bathrooms that money is being spent. So, but again, it's going to come back to the market that you're in. If it's an entry-level market, you can get away with, your kit-style kitchens, that sort of thing, which are obviously a lot cheaper than, say, a carpenter or cabinet maker coming in and doing a kitchen for you. So you want to save that sort of money there. But there's, for example, there's things I don't do in my kitchen. Like I don't ever put in the top panel. I don't even put it in because I just know that I put in the overhead cupboard, but then I don't put the top panel in because I just know there's areas that I just don't need. Definitely kitchens and bathrooms are probably the two most expensive. Yeah. But then you've also got to be able to look at a project and think sometimes does it need to have a new kitchen or new bathroom? So majority of the time, like 90% of the time for me, it does. But there has been a few kitchens where I've looked at it and gone, it's not too bad. And then I've been able to paint the kitchen cabinets and modernise it. Yeah.
And change
I'm not a big fan.
Bench top or something like that.
And just put in a new stone top and then new cooking appliances. Yeah. No, it has to look good. Like it can't be like a 1980s and do that. You know? If it's maybe 10, 12 years old and looking a bit dated, then you might be able to, give it a bit of a freshen up sort of stuff. The other thing that that can be a little bit expensive sometimes, or not expensive, but some things that that's quite common that you need to do. Quite often there's things like waterproofing, water damage and ceilings and stuff like that need fixing and repainting. Things like your roof can often have like roof leak issues and stuff like that.
So repointing and all of that. Yeah, and then also things like older houses, gutters and that sort of stuff. You might need replacement and that sort of stuff. So. Yeah, but definitely the kitchen and the bathroom are the bigger, more expensive, and obviously wet area tiling and them. Don't get yourself taken on a ride by property spookers, so-called property investment advisors, or buyer's agents who are selling house and land packages, or off-the-plan properties or apartments. Get yourself a copy of this book called The Millennial's Guide to Property Investing. This book is not just for millennials. The title suggests, but it's actually the most advanced way of investing in property. This book will relate to your clients, your colleagues, and other business owners. There are so many property spookers out there who have come out of the woodwork over the last 3 to 5 years, and there is so much misinformation out there that I had to write a book about all the F-ups that people can actually avoid in order to be super successful in the property investment journey. Some of these are really easy to identify, but they are so costly to fix once these mistakes are made. So it's a short book, it's easy to read, it has a lot of stories, it has a lot of examples, and it is a true guide for people who wants to do it themselves. My name is Moxin Reza. This is my story, and a lot of you will relate to parts of this story if you're not born in the riches and if you're trying to build a property portfolio that can last generations and help you improve your lifestyle along the way. So I give you a chance to come out there and have a read. Be kind, stay safe, keep smiling, keep investing, and please do check out the book. And do you pick up like kitchen from like Bunnings or IKEA, or do you have a chippy that basically goes around, doing it bespoke for you for every house?
So I've got a guy or a company in Perth where they do a kitchen as well. So it's just all flat pack.
Oh, amazing!
And so they basically bring everything in from China. They're cheaper than Bunnings and IKEA, and they're a better quality.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and I think that's a good point as well. There is so much stuff that is coming out from China these days when you talk about flooring and tiles that you could basically reach out to them and they are like literally 20% cheaper than the Bunnings of the world. So definitely an area of opportunity. We are exploring some of that for our projects as well, and they're really, really good quality. Like you think that they would be cheaper quality, but they're actually better quality than what is selling out there in the world right now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, everything pretty much comes from China anyway. So
100%.
I mean, even not just my kitchen cabinets. Like I buy all my hybrid flooring from another company, and they bring it all. They're not a big company; they're just a little small company, but they bring all their own hybrid flooring in from out of China, and I can get it for half the price of what a bigger chain would be selling it for.
100%.
You know what I mean? So you can save money by finding these little. Same with my tiles. The company that I use to get all my tiles, same thing. They just import their tiles from China, and again they're half the price of half the square meter rate as to what I'd be paying a bigger chain.
And I think the important thing is, as you mentioned before, that your contractors do not need to be the same people who are actually installing them as well, right? So maybe you might be buying the tiles from somewhere else, and you might be using a tiler to basically come in and do that job for you. You just need to know how much to order, right?
100%. Yeah, the only company that I buy anything from, and they do the installation as well, is my kitchen people. That's it. Everyone else is I buy the materials, and then the trade just comes and fits it off.
Amazing. Point number 9, what is the kind of insurances do you need for renovation projects, or do you need any insurances for, some of these projects when you're running it as a business?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously you'd want the property to be insured, and then you want some sort of public liability insurance as well. So that way, if anything happens to any of your trades on site, that way, that way you're covered in that sense as well. So look, I'm not going to say which insurance company you use because I don't want it to come back on me. But you've obviously got to be mindful when you're choosing the insurer to who you're going to insure the house with. Yeah. Because some of them, for example, they won't cover you if you're doing a renovation.
Of course.
So you can pay for construction insurance, which is again more expensive. So you can certainly do that. And then you've got a much bigger coverage. But at the same time, there's other companies that you can probably use, which is going to be a bit cheaper for you. But another thing to be mindful of is a lot of insurance companies won't cover you if the house is vacant for I think it's 60 days. So you need to make sure that if the property that you're renovating is going to be empty, then you want to ensure that your insurance is not going to be null and void if something happens and the property's been vacant too long.
And a lot of people make that mistake. I see this happening time and time again. They think that this is a hobby, and they're like, oh, my normal insurance, and I'll just, I'm not just putting tenants in and I'll just do the renovations. It always comes down to intent. I've seen cases where people have bought the houses and started doing the renovations, and there was a break-in, and they tried claiming it on insurance, and insurance like, well, your intent was never to rent the house. It was always the intent to renovate because you never placed the tenants in there anyway. So it's very important points that you make there, that you need to cover your bases there. You might think that you're covered, but you might not actually be covered. And insurance is not there in the business of paying claims. They're in the business of not paying claims. So
100%. That's right. Yeah. I think people think that, obviously you need to have insurance, right? But at the same time, you're spot on. They'll find every way they can get out of paying. For sure, they don't want to pay out.
And
they don't have to
put any cameras, any smoke alarms, for going through some of these sites. We developers do. We always have cameras up on our developments, but I'm not sure, whether the renovators really want that.
Yeah, it's not something I don't leave anything on site to get knocked off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I make sure that things are only going to get delivered to site when work's about to start, for that tradesperson. So something I do that's probably a bit different is I have all the windows open of the house. So not open, but there's no blinds.
Yeah.
So anyone can just come in and they can see through the house because if there's nothing there to take, then they won't break in.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's all closed up with window treatments, then they might what's in there sort of thing. So
it's true.
I'm pretty I don't leave anything on site.
Yeah. And the appliances are usually the last thing that comes on the site anyway. So yeah, it makes a lot more sense to just keep it open and show them that it's an empty house. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but people aren't going to come in and steal kitchen cabinets and a stone bench top and stuff like that. So, do you know what I mean? So it's not until the house is like the kitchen appliances and that. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned it. I was doing just literally a project, 4 weeks ago, and nothing happened to the site till the guy who came and put the blinds in. And so the day he put and there was nothing in the site, like no appliances, nothing was installed. We were waiting for the handover to happen. And the day he put the blinds in, next day it was a break-in. And I was like, I called him and I said, then did you leave them closed? And he's like, yeah. I was like, what the did you do that? Like, just, roll them up so that people can see that there is nothing inside the house. So it ended up costing us more because he ended up breaking the concrete on the side. And, you had to go back and re-render all of the stuff. And, the builder was super pissed off at the blinds guy because, he closed the blinds. So, yeah.
The window treatments for me, apart from the flooring, the window. So after the painting's done, then the window treatments go in. So that's pretty much, again, that the flooring is last. So obviously if you're staging the property to be sold, then you're gonna close the blinds then because there's all this furniture there and the staging company's not going to want, the sun beaming down on their new couches or, so it definitely close the blinds once it's finished and staged and ready for home opens and stuff like that. But during construction, I don't see. I don't.
Last but not the least, and this is the final question, how do you ensure that the renovation project stays within budget? How do you keep your emotions in check?
obviously once you've got a bit of an idea of how much things cost, it's a bit easier. So obviously you're going to always have a contingency. So that way if you have a bit of a blowout, you've got, maybe a 10% contingency, which you can dip into. But you keep a spreadsheet, and, as part of your feasibility, you're going to have what your projected costs are on your feasibility, but then you're going to have your actuals as well. So you just track it as you go throughout the reno. Like every time you got to pay a bill, you obviously put it in the spreadsheet, and then that way throughout the renovation, if you're on track or not. It's pretty easy. Like I just had one renovation which blew out. I mean, it was fine. Like the price had gone up considerably, but I had a decent blowout. But it was on, I think for example, I was probably expecting only a few grand on a bulkhead. It came in at about $9,000. It would end up having to be a lot more taken away.
Yeah.
They had to obviously do the whole backyard and front yard. And anyway, there was quite a surprise as to how many loads had to be taken away and how much time it took. So look, doesn't matter how experienced you are, you're going to get blowouts along the way. But at the same time, that's why it's important to make sure that the market conditions are right where you're flipping, so that way hopefully you might get market growth, or you have that contingency in place to make sure, look, I think my renovation is only going to cost me $60,000, but I've got an extra 10%, an extra $6,000 in there in case there's a blowout. So so that's there to be mindful of.
And do you see renovators going out with a budget in place and then cutting corners at the tail end because, their budgets keeps blowing out because they haven't priced it right?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely happens. That's not something I'm, I just stick to the plan. And that's something I always teach people, is just stick to the plan. Where I think people have an issue, or especially first time, newbies, is that they change the plan mid-reno. And then that can come back to hurt you or to haunt you. Yeah. Because all of a sudden you go, oh, look, it's a 4x1, and they've done the full renovation. So they've done the full feasibility and everything, and the schedule of the trades and everything, for this 4x1 renovation, out with the old, in with the new. And then they go, oh, actually, I think I can convert that old whatever room into a second bathroom now. And then all of a sudden, so they've changed the plan. And so now the reno is going to cost an extra $20,000, but they don't have the $20,000. Now the time frame's going to blow out. So I suppose my rule has always been just have a plan and stick to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's what it comes down to, right? There would be some renovation projects where you would make a ton of money because, the market is moving so fast. And then there would be others where it would just be a learning experience for you as well, right? And that's the beauty of you doing multiple ones at the same time. So that's how you continuously learn, improve, and, go back and do it again. Any final words, Graham? Let's bring it back together.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you kind of just put a good, you sort of mentioned about learnings at the end there. Like, I think that's probably a good point to finish on is that everyone's going to have a project that goes south here or there, right? So, I've had one project where I didn't make money. All the rest have been successful, but you take the learnings away from those projects. So obviously you want to do as much research and everything as possible. So that way you're, you do have successful project, and you do make, good money and a good healthy profit. But at the same time, don't be put off, or, if you have a blowout or anything goes wrong, don't let that setback, stop you from moving forward. Just take the learnings from it and
definitely
and move forward. And the only other thing I'd say is where I think a lot of people make a mistake is, their market research or their due diligence it's not thorough enough. So it's easy to make mistakes if you don't know the market. And the other thing I'd say is use good property data to know what's happening in your suburb or your farming area.
Golden words, Graham. Success is not just about money, it's also about growth. Thank you for coming to the show today. I think this was an amazing episode. For viewers and listeners, if you want to reach out to Graham, you can always join his Facebook group. Graham, I want you to give a very quick shout out to your Facebook group and your page so that, people can know where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So we've got a massive Facebook group. There's over 30,000 members in there now. It's called Flipping Houses Australia. So just jump on and we'll let you in the group. And I put out about 3 or 4 pieces of content a day, a couple of reels, blog posts, Facebook Lives, share all my deals, all the way from start to finish, and starting to share all of our, some of our students' deals in there as well. So jump in the Facebook group. And then the business that we've got is Redmain. So Redmain is a property flipping coaching company. We have a course and we have a lot of coaching sessions as well. So it's a really good community. Yeah. So if you want information on that, jump on the website, redmane.com.au, redmane.com.au. Yeah, jump on there, send through an inquiry and reach out.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And for viewers and listeners, if you can't find Graham, you can always reach out to me and I can point you in the right direction. Thank you for listening to us today. Take care, stay safe, keep smiling, keep investing. This is Graham and Moss checking out.
Thanks, guys.